Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this glasses case here. Sunglasses or regular glasses. That's what it looks like. It's got a lining on the inside, buttonhole here. There we go. That's what she looks like. There it is. It's not really that hard to do. It's a pretty easy stitch. Mostly this chain and single crochet. Could also, I think it'd be cute to put a little strap on it too, to carry it like that little mini purse kind of. The measurement is it's about 8 inches across, and then if you were to close it, that's probably how we'll measure it closed here. About 4 inches wide. So, I think it turned out pretty cute there. Well, let's go ahead and get started on this. Okay, for this project, I am using Peaches and Cream. It's a 100% 4-weight cotton yarn. Now, you don't have to use this yarn. You don't even have to use cotton. Cotton's a little bit stronger than acrylic, but since you're lining it, it really doesn't make much of a difference. So any medium 4-weight yarn will work, but the color I'm using is called Blackcurrant, and this was a full ball here. I think it was when I started. I don't know what's in here, 120 yards, I think. Yeah, 120 yards. So you're probably going to need about 100 yards, maybe 75 to 100. That's just a guess of any medium 4-weight yarn. And then I'm going to be using a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. And then you're going to need a button. These came from Hobby Lobby. They are 1-inch buttons, 25mm. And then you're going to need some type of fabric. I went to Walmart and got them fat quarters they have there for sale, and that's what I used. But any type of fabric will work. It doesn't really take very much at all to make it. And then you're going to need some matching thread and a regular sewing needle. And some pins to pin down your fabric to sew. Alright. Remember, I like to take a second to ask you not to forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you look in the lower right hand corner, there should be a red subscribe button to click on. If not, you can go straight to my channel page and click on that, and that way you'll automatically be subscribed and you'll never miss any of my videos. Also, if you give this video a thumbs up and a share, I really appreciate that. That really helps me out. So first, we're going to start off with a slip knot on our hook. Now, this stitch is done in a multiple of 4 plus 3 in case you want to make your bag here bigger or smaller, or maybe you want to use this stitch for something else. But I started off, if you want to follow me, a chain of 23. Alright, once you get your chain of 23 made, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a single crochet in the second stitch from the hook. And then we're going to go ahead and put 1 single crochet in every stitch for the length of the chain. Just like that. Alright, when you make it to the end of row 1, you should have a total of 22 stitches. Now, rows 2, 3, 4, and 5 are the repeat rows for the whole pattern. Okay, so we're going to start row 2 by chaining 1 and turning our work. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put 1 single crochet right here in this very first stitch here. And then we're going to work a chain of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to kind of start the repeat of the whole row. So we're going to put 1 single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. We don't skip any stitches. Just 1 single in each of the next 4. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we're going to chain 4 and repeat it again. 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 4, and we just repeat this until we get to the end of the row. 1 single into the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 4, 1 single into the next 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 4, 1 single into the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 4, and you should have 1 stitch left. Go ahead and single crochet into that last stitch, and you should still have 22 stitches, and then you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the chain 4 spaces. So that'll end row 2. Row 3, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now we're going to put 1 single crochet in every single stitch across. So go right into the very first stitch and single crochet. Now what we're going to do with these chain 4 spaces, nothing. We're just going to push them behind like this and continue putting 1 single crochet in every stitch. And that's what makes the little knots or the little bobbles that you see. Make sure you get this last stitch next to the chain. Sometimes it looks like it's not a stitch, but it is a stitch. And here's my chain. I'm just going to hold it down with my finger, jump over here to the first single crochet, and start putting 1 single crochet in every stitch again. I apologize if my hands are a little shaky. I'm super sensitive to caffeine, but yet I drink it all the time. And I'm just going to continue doing this until I get to the end of the row. Push my chain back, put 1 single crochet in every stitch, always pushing my chains back. And I'll show you here. This is what it starts to look like. You see, by pushing the chains back, they kind of ball up and make little knobs or little bobbles there. So I'm just going to continue that same process of putting 1 single crochet in every stitch, and I'm just going to push my chains back as I go. Here, when you get to the last one here, there's 1 stitch left that you got to hit here at the end. Single crochet in that last stitch. That will end row 3, and you still should have 22 stitches. When you flip it over, you'll have 6 of the little bobble things. Row 4, we're going to chain 1, turn our work. Now this time we want to make our little knobs where they're kind of catty-cornered. So we are going to put 1 single crochet into the first 3 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, and we're going to chain 4. And now we're going to start the repeat of the row by putting 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches. So only at the beginning there we put 3. So now it's 4 single crochets in a row, chain 4, 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches, we're just going to repeat this to the end, or to our last 3 stitches. chain 4, 1 single crochet into the next 4, chain 4, 1 single crochet into the next 4, chain 4, and you see now we have 3 stitches left. Just go ahead and put 1 single crochet into the remaining 3 stitches, and you will have 22 stitches still, and now you'll have 5 of the chain spaces. So for row 5 is the final row of the repeat. We chain 1 and turn. All we're going to do is repeat what we did on row 3. 1 single crochet in every stitch, just pushing the chains back. So row 5 is just a repeat of row 3. 1 single crochet in every stitch. When you get up to your chain, push it back in front there, or push it back there to where it's going to be on the front of your work, and continue putting 1 single crochet in every stitch. Push that chain in front. See how easy this is? Super easy, and it's a really cool looking stitch. It's an easy way to make little bobbles, I guess. All the way to the end of row 5. You should have a total of 22 stitches still, and now you'll have 5 bobbles on that row, and now they're catty cornered, you can see. So now we're just going to repeat rows 2, 3, 4, and 5. So for row 6, we're going to chain 1 and turn. We're just going to repeat what we did right here on row 2, and that's where we put 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then we chained 4, and then we put 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches, and repeat it. Chain 4, 1 single into the next 4 stitches. So we're going to repeat rows 2, 3, 4, and 5 until we get a total of 27 rows finished, and once we get there, I'll meet back up with you and we'll do our buttonhole. Alright, I did my 27 rounds so far. This is what it's starting to look like. 27 rows, I'm sorry, 27 rows. So now for row 28 is going to be the buttonhole row. So we're just going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now we're going to work the same pattern that we've been working, but we're going to work it over the first 10 stitches, and then we'll do our buttonhole. So we're going to start off by putting 1 single crochet into the first 3 stitches, and then we'll chain 4, 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches, and then we're going to chain 4. So we went over 7 stitches, so we're going to put 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches. So that'll be a total of 10 stitches that we worked across. Now I'm going to do a chain of 2. I'm going to skip 2. I'm going to single crochet into the next, like that. And I'm going to single crochet into the next 2, so that'll be 3 single crochets there in a row. And then I'm just going to keep repeating what we did in the beginning. So we're going to chain 4, 1 single crochet into the next 4, chain 4, and you should have 3 stitches that remain, 1 single crochet in the remaining 3 stitches, and we will have, this time we'll have 20 stitches total, and then you'll have this chain 2 space, which works as our buttonhole. So for row 29, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work, and now we're going to put 1 single crochet in every stitch like we've been doing until we get to our buttonhole. So we're just going to put 1 single crochet in every stitch to the over 10 stitches is what we're working at the same as we did before, putting those chains in the back. So there's 3, push that chain in the back, here's 4, 5, 6, 7, push the chain in the back, 8, 9, and 10, and now we're at our chain 2 space. So for that chain 2 space, we're just going to go right into the space and work 2 single crochets. So there's 1 and 2, and now we're going to continue putting 1 single crochet in the remaining 10 stitches, pushing those chains behind just like before. And now at the end of row 29, you should be back up to your 22 stitches. Chain 1 and turn, and now we have our buttonhole. So now we're just going to keep repeating for a little bit longer until we get the flap of our pouch made. So just a few more rows. So we're starting a row 30 now. So it's single crochet in the first stitch, chain 4, single crochet into the next 4 stitches. So we're just repeating again rows 2 and 3. Chain 4, single on to the next 4, just like that. Chain 4, single on to the next 4, okay, I just did a couple more rows out of that. So I have a total now from row 1 all the way up is 31 rows. Okay, now what we're going to do is chain 1 and turn our work. Now we should be on the front of our work. Now what we're going to do is go around the entire piece with single crochet, just to clean it all up and make it easier to kind of sew it together and stuff. So in this first stitch, which is actually a corner, we're going to put 3 single crochets into the very first stitch. We'll put 3 single crochets in every corner. So this first one right here is a corner. Put 3 single crochets in that stitch. And now we're just going to continue, and we're going to put 1 single crochet in every stitch here across the front. And then when we get to the last stitch, because it'll be a corner, we're going to work 3 single crochets in it. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to work down this side here, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch. And it's going to be kind of hard to tell where your stitches need to go. So kind of evenly space 1 single crochet here at the end of every row. That's what I kind of do. Just do your best to kind of get them spaced as even as possible. All the way down this long side until you get to the next corner. So I'm going to keep going until I get right down to here. Okay, I've made it down here to the corner, and we're going to go ahead and put 3 single crochets into this corner piece, or corner stitch. And then we'll continue across the bottom here, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch until you get to the next corner. And we're going to repeat this process until we get back to our starting point. So when I get to this corner, 3 single crochets, and then we'll kind of evenly space out 1 single crochet here up the side until we get back here to where we started. All right, I made it back to the beginning, and here's where I put my 3 single crochets in the first stitch. Go ahead and end by slip stitching into your first single crochet. Now I have 112 stitches. You don't have to have that exact number. It's okay if you don't, because we just kind of tried to evenly space out the single crochets up the side. So if you have a different number than me, that's fine, as long as it's kind of close to that number. And that's what it starts to look like. Now before we sew in the liner, we need to sew on the button, so you can't see, so you don't have, you know, so the button don't show through the liner. So we're going to take our piece, we're going to fold it up, and I'm going to sew my button on kind of right here. Okay, here's the buttonhole. This is the top piece. See the buttonhole? I'm going to sew it on. We got 1, 2, 3 bobbles on each side of this row here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to sew it right here in this spot in the middle. So right along these lines, kind of maybe right in between those bobbles, just somewhere around in that middle spot there. Doesn't have to be exact, but I'm just gonna, you can use yarn or regular thread and needle and get that button sewed on right there in that spot. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. All right, got the button sewed on down there. Now we're gonna cut our fabric. Just cut it to where, you know, you have 1/4 to 1/2 inch hanging over each side, all 4 sides. So like that. We're not going to sew it together until after we get the fabric sewed on. And then what you do is you just take some pins, and we're going to pin the fabric down before we sew it. So I kind of just flip up the ends like this, and then we pin it down to hold it. That way when we sew it, it'll have a nice clean edge here. That, go all around all 4 sides the same way. Fold it in like that. Remember, you gotta leave a little bit hanging off the edge there, about like that, so we can still sew it together with sew the whole piece together. My corner's not cut very straight, so fold it in a little bit more. There we go. Pin it down. We just do this all the way around. That. And later on, after we get this sewed on, we'll cut that slit where that buttonhole is, and then we'll sew around that buttonhole too. But first, we'll get this all sewed on how it's supposed to be. Here we go. Now we're going to take our thread and needle and neatly sew that liner on. And then once that's done, then we'll sew our whole piece together. But let me get my thread and needle ready. Okay, sewing it together. I put my thread and my needle. I just kind of doubled it up. Now you just want to put a knot at the bottom of it. However you usually put a knot in your thread is fine. I usually kind of just roll mine into my fingers like that. Put a knot in it. Now we'll start sewing it up. Now we don't want the thread to bleed over to the other side of our work. So just going to start underneath the first spot you want to start at. Just go grab the stitch. Only grab half of the stitch. Don't go all the way through to where you can see your needle on the other side. Don't poke through the bottom. Go up through your fabric, that, and then go back down, but not all the way through, just kind of like halfway through like that, just so you're not bleeding your thread to the other side. You just move your pins as you go. Go back up, but only going halfway through your crochet stitches. Try to keep your stitches lined up as neat as possible. Now if you know another way to sew this on, that's fine. You sew it on however you want. This is kind of how I do it. Back up. Down. I'm not going all the way through, so you can't see my thread on the other side. You don't want to be able to see your thread. That's why I'm just grabbing like part of the stitch, not all the way through. And this is what I do all the way around. Remember, we got to leave this edge unsewn because we still have to sew the piece together with yarn. So to move your pins as you go. So I'm going to continue around sewing this on just like this. Till I get back to my starting point. Just kind of try to keep it lined up and as neat as possible. Definitely doesn't have to be perfect. Mine is far from perfect, but that's okay. Just like that. So I'm going to continue going all the way around the whole piece. Alright, I got mine all sewed up. Now let's cut that buttonhole out. So get your pair of sharp scissors and kind of just stick a little clip right there where the buttonhole's at. Flip it over. Don't cut your crochet. Go right up inside there. And we're just cutting a little slit for the buttonhole. You got to go kind of behind your stitches though, so you can get it folded over. Just don't cut any of your crochet stitches there. For some reason I keep thinking I'm cutting one. Oh, I almost am. There we go. Just like that. And cut just a little bit of slit so we can fold it over like that on each side. And then the same on the other side. Make sure you're not cutting any of your crochet. And then we can just take it and fold it over and sew it. You can pin it if you want, if that helps you to keep it down. Flip it over on the other side and sew that side. There we go. So there's our buttonhole, and we're just going to sew around it the same way that we sewed around the whole piece. Just take your thread and just go around it, just to hold that fabric in there. Make sure you don't bleed through on the other side. You can take that pin out if it's in your way. Just like this, all the way around the buttonhole. Pretty easy to go around. This part's pretty easy. Quick and easy. Make sure you're not bleeding through on the other side. And I'm not. So I am going to finish this up. And then once I get done with this, I will just kind of knot off my thread. Kind of weave it in like I weave in my yarn. Here, I'm almost around. I'll show you here, I guess. Okay, I've made it back to my starting point of my button hole. So what I do is I just kind of go back under the fabric and I just weave my thread a little bit like I do when I'm hiding my yarn. Weave it through. I don't know if that's the way you do it, but I came out the other side, but I'm going to go back in so you won't be able to see it. Weave it through. I'm just weaving it through the middle of the crochet stitches. But you could tie, you know, you knot up your yarn and tie it off however you do it. But alright. There's that. See, my buttonhole has some things I need to clip off of it. Some little fringes from the fabric. Alright. There we go. So now we got the buttonhole. Now we're going to sew it together. I'm going to use a piece of yarn and a yarn needle to sew mine together. So we're going to flip it up. We're going to sew it this way. And then we'll flip it right side out. Flip it up and we're going to sew it. You can kind of determine where you want to sew it, but I'm going to sew it probably about 1, 2, 3. Along the 1, 2, 3. See this? Bobbles 1, 2, 3. Along the 4th row of the bobble. So I'm going to sew it right on that 4th row of bobbles. So if you don't count this edging, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 7th row, I believe, from the top. or right along that 4th row of bobbles. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just see my bobbles. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that. I'm just going to line it up. Wrong side of my work facing me. And okay, I'm going to grab the outside stitch on this piece, and then the outside loop on the first piece, and then the outside loop on the other piece. And that's how I'm going to sew it up, going through the outside loop of each one. I'm just going to kind of whip it back and forth. So I'm going to go over to the next stitch, outside loop of it, and the next stitch, outside loop of it. The next stitch, outside loop of it, outside loop of the next stitch. Oops. Outside loop of the next stitch, and then the outside loop of the next stitch over here. And this is what I'm going to do all the way down till it gets sewed up. Knowing where you get to, you can't do no more. Just gonna kind of weave in our tail, tie it off and weave it in to kind of just go back up, weave it right through the stitches, and then we're going to do the other side the exact same way. Make sure you line it up as close as you can to the same spot. You'll have to hide this tail here, but just come over here and try to get it lined up about the same row there, and we'll sew it together the same way. Back loop on both pieces. Man, I got butterfingers today. Keep dropping my yarn. So we're just doing this side the same way we did the other side. And then once you get done, you just hide any remaining tails. And I'll meet back up with you here in just a second. Alright, I got both sides folded or sewed up and my tail's hidden. So let's flip it right side out. There's your seams, nice and clean on both sides. There it is. So, it's all finished. Put your glasses in there. Button it up. And she's finished. That's all there is to it. I got some threads hanging, but that's it. That's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Remember, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook. I'll put a link below to that in the description box. If you enjoyed this tutorial, also, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you look in the left-hand corner right now, if you haven't subscribed, you probably see my face. Go ahead and click on that. That way you never miss any of my videos. So until next time, have a good day.